Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Kenny, and what you're looking at is an up-close picture of my progress on my old Ford that we are currently in the process of sanding down. And of course it's a part of the restoration. And many of you that have watched my previous videos of this old truck, you know what this is about. This is a progress or an update or just a little tour of the progress that we have made so far with this. I'm going to give you a small tour of this. This is the paint, the old stripping removal of the old paint. I told you in a previous video that this had about possibly 3, maybe 4 coats on it. Now I've got most of it done, but as you can see, there is still some old primer that is factory that I have got to take off. Now I'm only doing this when I really feel like it, because some of you might remember in a previous video that we have been going through an illness, and it's kept us from it's virtually shut us down, except for this one project. And we just do it when we feel like it, and when we can muster up enough energy to handle a sander. Now I'm going to take you completely around this, just give you a small tour. It looks pretty good. The bare metal makes it look extremely crazy or unusual, but in order to get it like it needs to be, you have got to take it down to the bare metal. Now right here is the quarter panels that we put the Bondo to, that we still have got to work on. But most of it is done, as you're going to see. I'm going to take you completely around. This don't look too bad. Now my bed is still full of junk, as you can see, but we're going to bypass this. Now I've got to take my taillights out, and I've not totally decided on the tailgate, what we're going to do with it just yet, but we've got to make a decision on it shortly. Now here we are. Here's the other side of the quarter panels. All of the excess old paint has been removed. Now I'm going to show you, it looks pretty good. I'm going to show you what we like, what we lack yet. Here we are. The passenger side door has got to be sanded down, and I'm going to show you how I do this and how I have done this. And of course up here, the top, we have started it, but we are going to finish it up, and we're going to show you how we do this. Now we're making preparations with this, and let me say this, we're making preparations, and it's a slow process, but we're going to get as much of that old stuff off as we can by going back over it and over it repeatedly until we get it as shiny as possible. And of course this will take some time, but you hang around and I'm going to give you, or show you rather, how this is done and how I'm doing it myself. Now I don't have to tell you, based upon what you have just seen, that I am not a body man when it comes to doing this type of work. But I'm telling you, this is doable if you have a vehicle of this age, or any age, really. This is doable if you will just take your time and determine in your mind exactly what you want to do with it. And all that's needed for you to do from there on is just go to work. This is very, very doable, and I will encourage you, if you want to save some money. Now, I'm not looking to get a professional show car shine out of this old truck. Now, don't think that for 1 minute. And if you're going to send me your comment to say that it won't look like that, then of course you will be exactly right. It will not look like a showroom show truck that you would see on TV or somewhere else. But this is a project that I'm currently just taking my time on and working as I can in order to really do it like it should be done. But the next step after I get this all off, which I'm going to take this off here today and you're going to be able to see it, the next step will be to get it down with all of the old primer that I can get off of it. And then we will take the next step, and that will be to put new primer on it. So you hang around and we're going to get to work. When you're doing this, one thing you need to remember, you don't want to breathe this nasty paint, especially that dust and that stuff. You want to put one of these on. This is not for COVID. This is for the nasty dust that you're going to see here in a sec. And put you on some of these because you don't want to get that in your eyes. Very important. Now I'm using a grinder. And I've used this one grinder through the entire thing. Now I've got a 80 grit sand disc on this grinder. Now this is a 7-inch. Actually, this grinder is only a 4.5-inch grinder, okay? But in order to use a 7-inch disc on it, what do? You've got to take the guard off of it, the cutting guard. Right here, you got to take it off. You can't put that on there with the guard. You got to take it off. So that's what I've done. I've got an 80 grit sanding pad on this. So it works pretty good. And I've used, I don't know how many different discs. But let's go to work. I'm going to start right here, and we're going to work ourselves over this entire door. folks, we're moving along. I went and changed my pad. And this door, let me say, is the thickest. I believe this part right here on this particular door is the thickest paint in the entire project. I have just discovered that. It is so thick. So we've reduced our pad size to get a little bit better grip on it, but be prepared if you do this. You're gonna get nasty. All right. You can see that this is a slow process. Now the thing of this is, I'm doing this because I want to save money and put just as little money in this as I possibly can. I mean, avoiding the high cost of restoration. You've got to take some shortcuts. And this method, there's a ton of ways you could sand this off and different types of sanders, but this one here to me is working and it's relatively cheap. The pads don't cost that much and it does a fairly decent job. And of course, I'm going to go back over it until I'm satisfied with it. And you can see that this is getting results and we're trucking along. And it's a nasty job. But to do it outside like I'm doing, it's not that bad. top of this truck, folks, is extremely hard, the paint is, because of course it's flat and the heat bakes it continuously over the years. It's as hard as nails, the old phrase. But this is a 4 or 8, it's actually a 7-inch disc. I think it's about a 36 grit. It's the only thing that will cut that. Now I'm trying to avoid any as much possible the metal. Now this is an old 78 Ford and it's got great metal, but I'm trying to avoid using this large pad, thick pad, to keep from cutting a lot of the metal. But this is slowly getting it done. All right, now folks, I want to show you the top of this thing. It looks decent, at least in my opinion it does. Some of that permanent, or that first time, that primer, the original primer that I'm referring to, is hard as nails, like I stated earlier, but that absolutely doesn't look half bad. I will go back over that, of course, and get the remainder of that old primer, but overall this thing is just about ready for the coat of primer that I'm going to put on it. All right, folks, we are going to close this video out, and listen, this is something that I've experienced. Just take a look. I look like I've been dipped in motor oil. That's typical if you're going to sand something like this, but at least my face and eyes were protected, my nose and eyes. But this, I'm going to take and I've got one little spot right here on the door that I got to finalize, and then I'm going to take and wash it down thoroughly, get all of the gook off of it, and then tomorrow or the next day I'll go back over it with a very thin, probably something really light, to just get the remainder of that base off of that. I'm talking about the primer, the original, and I'm going to do that very carefully, and then I'll be ready. So in my next video, you will be seeing me putting the brand new primer on this thing. If the weather permits, we're going to get to it as quick as we can. The temps are going to relatively stay decent, except they're giving us quite a bit of rain, so we'll just have to work when we feel like it and when the rain permits us to. So listen, if you like this, I've enjoyed bringing this to you. If you like this, give us a big thumbs up. Would you do that? And while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. And that way you'll be ready to see the rest of the remainder of the videos that we're going to produce a little bit later with this, till it's completely done. So thanks again for watching, and you have a blessed day.